Name's Macy. I'm the OT at the school. I realize you're a paraeducator.
I am.
All right. So do you work with a lot of students that have ADHD and autism
I do.
spectrum disorder? Okay,
Yes.
great. So I'm here today kind of to teach you about this program called Zones of Regulation.
Okay.
So this is a cognitive behavior approach. It uses self-regulation by categorizing the different ways we feel, as well as the different states of alertness that we have.
Okay.
So this program kind of addresses the underlying deficits that many children who have, ADHD and autism have in terms of emotional and sensory needs.
Right.
So I know a lot of the time, like, these students will act out in class, or they'll seem, like, upset about something you don't always know why.
Yeah.
So for this, as I stated, like, it has different zones. And so the zones are broken into 4 different zones. The first one would be the red zone. And so this is kind of like a heightened state of alertness and intense emotions. So these emotions can range from, like, pure elation, so they're super excited, can't contain themselves, all the way to anger, rage, or terror. And so that's the most heightened state, basically. And then the one under that is the yellow zone. And so for this is also kind of a heightened state, but the child would have more control over their emotions. And so this would be something like feeling stress or frustration, excitement, stuff like that, anxiety type things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the best zone to be in is the next one, and that's called the green zone.
Okay.
And so this is a calm state, but a state in which the child is still alert. And so this is when optimal learning occurs. So this is the zone you want the child to be in if you're helping them with their schoolwork or different stuff like that.
Okay.
So this would be feelings of, like, being happy, they're focused, and they're content. And then the last zone is the blue zone. And this is more like low states of emotion and kind of like down feelings.
Okay.
And so maybe they're low alert as well, so they're super tired, or maybe they're sick, or they're bored in class. And so I really think that this program is beneficial for schools to use because it provides strategies to teach students to become aware of and independent in controlling their emotions and impulses. And so this allows them to manage their sensory needs and also improve their conflict resolution skills. So I know we touched on sometimes kids get really upset and they're screaming in class. And so this program helps them identify those feelings while also finding ways to manage them after they've identified them. And so by being aware of times in which they are less regulated, like if they're tired, mad, too happy to sit still, we're able to do something to feel better. And so this lets the kids see how they can change basically their zone that they're in. And so this is a skill that has to be taught and practiced with this population, being ADHD and kids with autism. So it allows the students to communicate how they feel, and the end result that you really want is for the students to move away from the staff, such as you or the teacher, having to prompt them to regulate themselves, and really having them assume that personal responsibility and self-regulation.
I think that's really important because a lot of the kids in the school system, they don't have that independence. They're really dependent on the teachers and the paraeducators to show them and prompt them and cue them when to do the right thing, when really they should be independent and, able to do that on their own, regulate their senses and all of the frustrations that they have throughout the day.
Yeah, that's true, and I think a lot of the time, like, it takes away from the rest of the class learning because the kid's acting out and they don't know how to contain that. So I kind of wanted to just give you, like, a quick little, demonstration. A quick little demonstration of how you would actually use this at the school. So let's just pretend we're in a scenario where you're working with a child, maybe who has autism, something, on that. And they have the ability to at least be verbal enough to point. And so they don't have to be completely verbal. They can be nonverbal, but they have to be able to understand what you're telling them.
Right.
And so if they come into the classroom and you're working with them and they seem like they're really angry, they just cannot contain their rage, and you explain to them the different zones that I've told you, the red, yellow, green, and blue, and they indicate that they're red. And so they're super angry, stuff like that. What would you maybe do for that kid to help them manage that conflict?
Well, first, after they understand which zone they're in, they've told me where they're at.
Yeah.
I would probably take him out of that situation, whatever he's in that's frustrating him, making him really upset, and allow him to do calming techniques, breathing techniques to really relax him and take him out of that environment that's so frustrating.
I think that's really good, and I think that's something you could do, your first 4 or 5 times using this program, and then after he's seen you, teaching him these steps, maybe then he'll be able to identify, okay, I'm in red, I need to do those breathing exercises or something like that. And so I just want to give you another example. So if you're working with a child maybe who has ADHD and they're, typical like super excited, bouncing off the walls type thing, stuff like that, and they indicate to you they're in a yellow state, which means they have some control over their emotions, but they just can't sit still. What's maybe something you could do with those students?
Typically with a student like that, you could give them something to fidget with, something that's going to facilitate that sensory need or whatever they're needing to help calm them, keep them in their seat and focus. Maybe a therapy ball to sit on, something that's going to calm him down and keep him quiet but in his seat.
Exactly.
Maybe like a fidget or something would be good.
I think all of those ideas you've listed are really good. So basically what I want you to take away from this is that this program just gives those students who can't always identify their emotions an outlet to do so. And so now they're like, hey, I'm feeling this way. I don't know what this means. What am I supposed to, how do I make sense of this? And then they can see like, oh, I'm actually in yellow, and this is what I do when I'm in yellow. And so this is going to make your job a lot easier as well as the teachers.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I can't wait to implement the program.
All right.
And, tell the other teachers and paraeducators about it as well.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.